Why is it that some people, when they had this vision to start a side business, you see them just progress massively and they just move forward step after step after step. And a year later, after starting their business, they're already making great money and they're doing really well. And yet you look at other people and they buy a course and they procrastinate. And a few years later, you see there's just no progress. They haven't made any money. They've changed around from different ideas to idea. And you just see this huge contrast in different people and how some people move massively forward while other people get stuck. Well, hi, my name is Richard and I am an Australian living here in Hong Kong with my wife and 4 kids. And I love to talk about building great online side income streams that are a blessing to our family and to what matters most in our life and doesn't compete and compromise those aspects of our life. So if you have this desire, you have this dream to maybe start something, to be a little bit of an entrepreneur, and I'm not talking about even replacing your whole job, maybe just to make a little bit of extra money each month, well then this is the channel for you, because that's what I love to talk about. For me, I'm a pastor here in Hong Kong. I lead a church. I absolutely love it. It's my calling in life. But I do also want to be able to take my family on great holidays and be able to give more to my church and have other financial goals as well. And so building a side income is going to really help with that. And I believe you can have that too without it really sacrificing every part of your life. But the thing is, one thing I've noticed is that some people just move forwards and then others just get stuck. When I think about my story, so I started my business about 5 or so years ago, and I have noticed that there have been seasons where I have hugely progressed, and there's been other seasons where I've stayed at the level that I was at for quite a long time. And it's this idea that there is this thing called incremental growth, and then there's also radical growth. So incremental growth is basically when you get a few percent better. You aim to do something a little bit better each time. And to be honest, that's my approach with YouTube. Okay, right now I'm trying to make my videos a little bit better each video that I post. That's not my idea. It's Mr. Beast's idea. I figure he knows what he's talking about when it comes to YouTube. And I like that idea, is that every time I film a video, I'm going to try to make it just a little bit better than the last one that I made. And over time, hopefully I'll end up to be pretty good at this. That is a great approach in business. But I think also there are times where you can make a dramatic change in a strategy, or you can do something completely different. You can have out-of-the-box thinking that leads to a huge increase and radical growth in your business. Something that maybe you see a 5 times return on something. You see a huge growth. For example, when I got my first client, I went from $0 to making $1,000 a month. And that was a really big step. That was like night and day, nothing, bang, big thing. Wow. And so there are these moments, and I really want to encourage you to lean towards radical growth, to look for the opportunities where you can make a large change that's going to really bring fast growth and help you to get unstuck. Now, of course, that's easier said than done, but I actually think that some of that can be strategic. You can actually see opportunities where you can go for radical growth over incremental growth. Now, I hope that incremental growth is at least your default, okay? Hopefully you're wanting to improve things a little bit more each time, but I'm also believing for many more opportunities where I can experience radical growth as well. One example of this in my business was I was doing business in Australia. All my clients were there. I had, 6 or 8 different clients paying me monthly in Australia. It was great. I was very excited that was working out for me. It wasn't making a huge amount of money, but it was good. It was solid. And I realized, there's some real challenges to doing business in another country. I can never actually meet these people. Like, I'm completely remote, And I think I do well with people in person. I think they can feel that I'm genuine and that I'm not going to rip them off and that I actually care about them and their business. And I think I have a lot going for me when I'm in person, but I'm limited if I'm online and in a different country. So I thought, well, I had avoided trying to do business in Hong Kong because I'm a foreigner, there's language barriers, there's some other obstacles that I didn't want to go up against. But I just decided, okay, I got to look into this. If I really want to build a long-term business, I need to do it in Hong Kong. And so I started building out some websites and looking for some clients here in Hong Kong. My first client that I got has essentially been equal to everything that I do in Australia in one client. And it's really changed things for me. And it started me on this path of looking for more customers here in Hong Kong, and I now have more, and it's a lot more exciting. And essentially that one shift, which was not just trying to build out a few more business owners in Australia, instead it was completely change the whole country that I'm doing business in. That led to a radical growth spurt in my business. And that's the kind of thing that I'm talking about here, is where are the out of the box? I know that's not that out of the box. It's the same business, but just in a different country. I know I'm not that creative, but it was a shift. It was a pivot in my business. And where are those opportunities that you could see a big increase? So this is my first point. Number one, you got to get out of your box. Old, established thinking gets the same old results. And I know we've all heard that expression before. What is it? That doing the same thing but expecting different results is the definition of insanity. And I think that's pretty true. If you're still doing the same thing, of course, you're going to have the same results. So we need to look for different ways of doing things to get out of the current mindset. So for me, here's a few examples in my journey. The first one was starting a business. Okay, that's obviously different than my current job. It's completely different path. So I've got my job, but yes, I'm going to start a business. All right, cool. That led to radical growth in my life, big picture. Then a few years down the track, I've got, okay, the business is making a bit of money. Where do I put that money? Okay, I have to learn how to invest. And I started looking into things like crypto, and not the crazy risky crypto stuff, but the safe stuff. I guess you could say none of it's safe. I know, don't lecture me in the comments, but I started really researching, and now I'm doing well in the crypto space, using my profits from my business, putting it over here, and it's multiplying. Yay, that's good. Even through the last 2 years, which have been terrible for the crypto markets, it's done well. And so that led to real change. A third step for me is coming into YouTube. Now, nothing has come of this yet. I don't know what this channel could turn into, but I'm hoping I can reach thousands of people. I'm hoping that I can have an impact and really help some people. And I know that when you help people, good things happen. You reap what you sow. So who knows? I think at some point this is going to kick, and there's going to be some amazing opportunities come out of just having a channel and trying to help people. So you've got to look for these pivot moments. Get outside of your box, because otherwise we're just going to lead to incremental growth, and it is a good default, but I think it's a minimum. That's the minimum. Start from there, but look for other out of the box situations. And maybe you're hesitant to go for something, and if you're honest with yourself, it's actually just fear. You're afraid to make that step. Like I'll be honest, I was afraid. Firstly, I was afraid to get on YouTube. I don't know what people will think of that if they find my channel. I was afraid to move my business to Hong Kong. I was afraid to look silly in a market where I can't speak the native language. I mean, I think that's normal. That's okay. It's okay to be afraid, but just get outside of the box and see the benefit that it could bring your business. So get excited about that. Number 2, after getting outside of your box, consider the worst case scenario. Okay, so think about what is really the worst thing that could happen if I go down this path. Is it really that bad? I remember when I was interested in my wife, and she had no idea. I had tried to give her signals that I was interested, and she was not picking up on my subtleties. And I was very nervous to go and ask her to have a date. And, I just did it. And she could have rejected me. Thankfully, she didn't. And we're now happily married for over 9 years and with 4 beautiful little boys. It's been awesome. The upside of that decision has been astronomical compared to the worst case scenario, which was it would have been really embarrassing if she said no to me. But the upside is the rest of my life with an amazing woman. So what is the worst that could happen? I remember a couple of years ago when the pandemic was happening, and I knew that I had to switch to my market to Hong Kong, but I'm like, I don't know anyone. Everyone I know goes to my church, and I've made a decision. I'm not going to be doing business in my church. I'm going to build a completely separate network. I don't want to be selling anything to people in my current network. I'm not going to build my business off my friendships and people within my church. But the problem was, I moved to Hong Kong to build a church, and my whole network was church. So I had to get a new network, and I had to start from zero. And so I went along to a networking group, and I didn't know what to expect. And out of that I think I went twice. Out of those 2 meetings, I probably got 4 or 5 different clients, and I still have one reoccurring client that has been with me for about 3 years, paying me every single month. It cost me nothing. It was just a few mornings showing up to this meeting, and I was nervous and whatever, and yet it's been a huge upside. What is the worst that could happen? Now, if you're going to invest $200,000 in fitting out a cafe and starting a cafe business, or there is pretty big downside to starting that. But when it's online and you just need to pay maybe a few $100s for an online course or to buy some software or something like that, what's the downside? It's so small. What is the worst that could happen? And I think if you're really honest with yourself, it's not that bad, and it's worth a shot. The upside is astronomical. If you can just get past those first few awkward years in business, then it's gonna open up a whole new world to you. That's gonna be an amazing blessing to your family. It's gonna give you new opportunities, and you're gonna be able to really focus more on what you love to do, not just what you have to do. So I want to encourage you. There's a great business within you. Don't get bogged down by just getting stuck on playing the incremental game. Come on, let's look for those out-of-the-box opportunities where you can see radical growth. I believe they're all around you. You just have to open up your eyes. So thanks so much for listening. It's awesome being able to share my journey with you. I hope you're encouraged. Let me know about your story. Put something in the comments. We've got very few people watching right now. One day, hopefully there's a lot more, but I'd love to hear from you. I'm able to reply to all my comments that I get right now. So check it out down below. Say something, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you in the next video. Thanks, guys.